My name is Gavin Buckley. I'm the Mayor of the City of Annapolis. Annapolis is 38,000 people. It's the capital of Maryland. As a Mayor, public safety is paramount. I think that smart technologies are going to be key, and you need to have your city on the forefront of that sort of stuff, so you need to embrace new ideas. And so FirstNet gives us another layer that we can even bring greater protection to the community.
My name is Sergeant Ricky Truitt, and I'm with the Annapolis City Police Department. Here in the city, being the state capital and having multiple law enforcement agencies, not only at the local and state level, but especially at the federal and national level, it is paramount that at any time we receive priority network connectivity and priority connection. Whether it's a governor's inauguration, a presidential visit, a diplomat visit, or a United States Naval Academy home football game where the population grows by tens of thousands, that network connectivity and that reliability, it'll be there for us, and that's very important for us here in the city of Annapolis.
My name is Edward Jackson. I'm the Chief of Police for the city of Annapolis. The world has changed. You have to keep pace with technology. Police officers are faced with challenges that I wasn't faced with a generation ago. What FirstNet provides is the ability for officers to communicate with all stakeholders, whether you're talking about public works, whether we're talking about the Office of Emergency Management, any city or state agency, it gives them the ability to communicate with them in real time.
So here in our Public Works Department, it's very important to have situational awarenesses during our emergencies. So our Public Works trucks, like the plow truck behind me, being out there, knowing where they are, connected, receiving reports from our emergency operations centers is paramount to being able to provide quality service to our citizens here in Annapolis.
Reliable communications for first responders is essential in getting the job done. This city has experienced some pretty tragic events, so any tools that we can give them to make them more efficient is such a good thing.
It's almost like a fusion center. I think the successful police manager has to understand that one of our tools to make sure that we're providing the services that we are sworn to provide is technology. Technology is key.
I say this all the time, when you're safe at home in bed and you hear that siren outside your door, it is a first responder running towards danger so that we don't have to. These guys see things that a lot of the public don't have to see in order to protect us. So whatever we can do to make their job easier, we should be doing. So communication and getting to the trouble as fast as possible and being able to bring resources to the situation as quick as possible is key.
Former senior staff to the United States House of Representatives Homeland Security Committee and current executive director of the country's National First Responders Communications Network. Please welcome to the stage FirstNet Chief Executive Officer, Ed Parkinson.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back at CES. I was lucky enough to be here last year, and the accents seem to be taking over and the crazy socks. I have avocados on mine. They're not quite Star Wars type, but that's all we can do. But it's great to be back. Appreciate the time, and it's wonderful to see the FirstNet organization has been here for the 4th year in a row now at CES. When you think about how far CESG has come in the last 15 years, it's amazing to see the progress, not only that the association and the organization has made, but also the various industries and the discussions we've had. FirstNet is just another example of that. And being our nation's dedicated public safety broadband network across the United States, it's a terrific opportunity for public safety and for other groups to come together for the betterment and for the protection of what exactly the mayor just said there. We have to do whatever we can to make their jobs easier, and he's absolutely right. The goal of the networks and what we want to try and achieve are really twofold. It's about bringing the solutions to public safety to make sure that they are able to achieve the goals and to work in a safer environment. But just as the panel just prior to us talked about, it's capturing the passion and frankly capturing the advantage that the private sector can bring into public safety to ensure that new technologies, the evolution of technology occurs, and to ensure that we actually are providing the best solutions possible out there for public safety. Last year, I talked a little bit about the emerging global marketplace that exists, and we talked a little bit too about smart cities and Internet of Things. We've heard this year, it's a lot of talk about 5G and the possibility of what's coming. The good thing about FirstNet is it's here, and it's an effective tool. It's one that over 1 million folks are using to trust with their lives, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But when you think about the example that we saw there with Annapolis, every police officer has been issued with a smartphone, and you see how the integration has started to occur across the organization. It's really interesting to see how police to public works and other departments inside the city of Annapolis are taking advantage of public safety broadband in a way that they haven't been able to up to this point. There are other groups and agencies here in Las Vegas, the NYPD, Chicago PD, Miami-Dade Fire, as well as many, many others, are taking advantage of public safety broadband in this dedicated manner that really FirstNet provides. And it's this differentiation that we've seen not only in these metropolitan areas, but in rural communities too. We have rural milestones that we have to provide to the country to ensure that we have new site builds, to make sure when you think of the average police force in this country is about 21 sworn officers, and you think of the size of, say, NYPD with 36,000, there's a huge variety out there. And FirstNet is able to provide those solutions for those groups in a way that frankly no one else can. And so we're really excited to have seen what's happened in the past, but really I'm fascinated to see what's happening in the future. And 2020 is certainly a year of what that's going to look like. And so let's take a minute just to look here at the FirstNet momentum coming from where we were back in 2019. We had about 425,000 connections across the country, and about 40% of our band 14, that's our dedicated spectrum. Again, we have the only dedicated spectrum for public safety in the United States, and that was about 40% deployed. We had about 50 apps in our app catalog and around 30 or so devices in our device ecosystem. All of these are sort of the key components of what builds a network. And so from 2019, where we've come from, to now where we are today, it's amazing to see the progress in a relatively short period of time. We've just hit over 1 million subscribers on the FirstNet system. We're north of 10,000 agencies across every state in the United States. We're over 100 applications in our app ecosystem. This is a dedicated app ecosystem where we've brought together the power of the private sector into developing these tools for public safety. And we now, it says here a little over 100, but we're north of 150 dedicated devices, from tablets to smartphones, routers, repeaters, and it's tremendous to see how the device ecosystem, along with the application system, has grown exponentially just in the last 12 months. And so as we kick off 2020, we see this tremendous progress, but it's just really the beginning. And we have this 25-year contract with AT&T, who are responsible for putting out the actual solutions to public safety. But it's a unique partnership. And that public-private partnership between the government and the private sector, to echo the thoughts of the panelists that are here this afternoon, that's a unique situation, and one that does bring certain benefits and certain power to this that, again, is really unique. There are a number of other tools that we have. We have 72 of these deployables that are able to be deployed anywhere in the nation, and they are there to reconstitute the network in the event of a hurricane, as you see here, other natural disasters. They've been deployed in Anchorage in the wake of the earthquake up there after Hurricane Michael in 2018, and the Paradise Fire we saw in California. And these are free for public safety who have signed up for FirstNet service. Again, one of the key differentiators of what we have. We also have drones that we're using to reconstitute networks. Flying drones, sell on wings, really, if you want to think of it that way, which again, were out in use after Hurricane Michael down in Panama City. And we've seen these huge differentiations come in, and we're being the first to have these. And we're the first to have these deployables, we're the first to have these drones, and now we're the first to have one of our new tools, which are these blimps that we now have. So we have our first aerostat here, which flies at about 1,000 feet. It's about 55 feet long and is able to just constitute a massive amount of coverage in a way that we haven't been able to see before. Having one of these, which can stay up for about 2 weeks following a storm, again, at zero cost to public safety to have these deployed. And when you think about the deployables, and when you think about the drones, and when you think about the blimps that we see here, these are just examples of how the private sector has worked with public safety to identify opportunities and to identify solutions that are changing the way that public safety thinks about technologies. I think it's going to be amazing when you can see the over 1,900 vendors that you saw at CES down the road, to then start thinking about the various applications that they can provide to public safety. And the industry that we're starting to see in the United States, public safety broadband, it's about a $600 billion industry, probably over the next 15 years that's growing here. We also have this global marketplace. When you think about the $2.2 trillion smart city programs, smart city industry that's growing around the world, these are tangible numbers that the private sector can really look at. And public safety is now, frankly, a vertical that is really tangible and one that's growing enormously. And we're excited to be at the forefront of what it is we're trying to achieve here across the nation. Innovation is also the key part of this, and you've seen that in these examples that are just laid out. But in 2020, we're looking to take that even further. We're going to be having push-to-talk solutions rolled out across the network. We're going to be looking to integrate additional location-based services based on mission-critical standards, as well as mission-critical video and data. We're also going to be 5G ready. We've initiated our first investments back into the system, back into the network, as we're required to by law, with the revenue that we're generating from the system. And these will allow us to expand our deployable fleet, will allow us to expand what we're trying to achieve in 5G, so that when 5G is ready for public safety, we will be there with those solutions. And I think that's a tremendous opportunity because, again, it takes on what we've seen, that public safety and how they've used public safety broadband. There's nothing like actually taking advantage of that and actually putting it in the hands of the end user. And then you can see the various applications, how it is we thought the network would be used, and then in actual reality, when you actually see it being used by the men and women in the street. It's pretty fantastic. And we're preparing for the future. We're preparing for additional IoT. We're looking at AI. We're thinking in blockchain. And we're looking at taking advantage of the various opportunities and technologies that you've seen here at CES, CSG, and across the nation. We're also thinking about collaboration. This is a key area that we're trying to achieve in 2020. And that's not just with the private sector, but that's with government too. Government being at the federal, state, local, tribal area. We have various agreements with government agencies. We've got this tremendous opportunity with our R2 Accelerate Challenge, which is really designed to accelerate the development of response and resiliency technologies. We have a challenge on over $1 million grant, which is designed really to develop a network of entrepreneurs to drive public safety solutions forward. We have MOUs with the University of Mississippi on rural broadband in the rural medical areas. And I think public safety broadband, especially in medicine and in rural medicine, that's going to be one of the key areas that I think is tremendously exciting to see the developments, especially in a 5G type environment. So that's not just for 2020, but that's also looking ahead. We also have tremendous partnerships with the NIST Public Safety Communications Research Lab. And through one of the grants there, we were able to work with the MIT Lincoln Labs to really look at some of the various technologies that folks have over at MIT, especially in the areas of real-time video analytics. And all of these are wrapped up in our roadmap. And I would encourage all of you to go look at firstnet.gov and download the roadmap that we have out there today. The roadmap is our blueprint for how we're going to be engaging with public safety and how we're going to be engaging with industry in the future. The roadmap is really the key component that's been designed and developed by public safety. We spent over a year developing the roadmap. We've incorporated input from over 30,000 public safety users. We've had over 1,000 meetings with different agencies from rural as well as urban groups from every state and territory in the country and from every discipline of public safety. And so this roadmap that we have out there focuses on 6 core areas, including user experience, coverage, the core, voice communications, cybersecurity, especially when you think of that in a 5G environment. And so having the roadmap out there will allow for the private sector, gives you a very, very strong indication of where we believe public safety broadband is going in the future, and also how we think that the FirstNet Authority is able to continue to engage with the private sector and also with public safety. Because this is, after all, public safety's network. It is unique. There is nothing like FirstNet. We have the FirstNet Authority, whose sole purpose and our sole responsibility is to ensure that public safety get what they were promised and what they asked for. And that's a key differentiator in what we're trying to achieve at the organization. And so, in conclusion, we have a call to action. There are many government agencies here. Speaking to various groups before, from DHS, from NASA, and others. There are a lot of components that are out there that we really feel strongly could have applications in public safety broadband. And so I call upon our government partners to really collaborate with us in 2020 to find those opportunities, especially where there are grant opportunities to really collaborate and work together on. And then for the private sector, I mentioned some of the numbers, around $600 billion in public safety broadband in the United States, the smart city numbers that exist out there today. But as public safety takes advantage of the tools that we put in their hands, we will see an evolution of how this technology is going to be leveraged by public safety. And we've seen it save lives. There's an amazing example we heard in Palm Beach School District just a few months ago. All the school buses in Palm Beach School District have been retrofitted with FirstNet devices, and the chief down there believes that at least 2 school shootings could have been prevented as a result of the direct communications that public safety broadband, and specifically FirstNet, has been able to provide with those folks out there. I'm a father of 2. I'm sure that many of us are parents here today, and how does that not get you interested in understanding the solutions that we're trying to provide here at FirstNet and across the entire public safety broadband space? Competition is real. Competition is good. And FirstNet's competitors are certainly out there working to do their best, but that puts the power finally back in the hands of public safety. And for me, that's a tremendous opportunity. So I appreciate the time. Come find FirstNet, come and look at our roadmap. FirstNet.gov is certainly something that a lot of you, I think, will have a tremendous amount of interest in. And collaboration is the word of the day in 2020 for FirstNet. Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.